Okay, day 198.8. Obviously now Andrew McCabe is our new acting FBI director. Here's why I don't think that's going to last very long. As I mentioned before, the NSA has all the phone calls and all the texts. When Hillary's inside the skiff, you can't see any radio messages. It's a sealed environment, so there's no syncing, but she's madly sending emails that are taking notes of the meeting. All 19 of the phones are going to be used that way. They're going to be madly taking notes during the meeting, sending them in the form of emails. Then there's going to be a break, and then they're going to go to a balcony of some kind, usually the 7th floor of the State Department. I don't know if you remember what I mentioned before, but you can take that same phone call now. As soon as you walk outside with the BlackBerry, it's going to start syncing back and forth, just like cars going back and forth across this bridge, as soon as you walk outside. I also, using the satellite data and other networking devices, can geolocate exactly where you are when that happens. So one location, it's going to be obvious, is the 7th floor of the State Department with a secure phone. There's only going to be so many people that had access to the 7th floor of the State Department. Now, you compare that with Hillary's meetings and schedules, and you can pretty much coordinate exactly whose phone was on that bridge, or whose phone came outside of the State Department. Let's put it that way. So I don't even think you need the phones in Lorton to identify all 19 of the conspirators, or at least identify all 19 of the phones that got moved around for these top secret meetings at various points along the way. So I think when a big treaty is coming up with for the pipeline for the King of Morocco, whoever is negotiating that deal with foreign affairs and so forth at the State Department, and the geophysical experts and all those people that are in the meeting, there's going to be some rat in there, like a Philippe Reines or a Huma or a Cheryl Mills or some plant, Victoria Newland. Some plant is going to be in there making madly sending emails and texts. When they walk out on the onto the street, onto Connecticut Avenue or wherever, or onto the veranda there at the State Department, it's going to link up. And all that information got peanut buttered across 17 different intelligence agencies when Hillary left. She was trying to make sure that Trump couldn't isolate and compartmentalize the information, but I think it's actually the thing that's going to end up being her downfall, because it's going to leave footprints, muddy footprints all over the place. So, did they actually need to get the serial numbers is the key question from the BlackBerries. Who knows? If most of the BlackBerries were destroyed, I think 14 of them, it's still going to leave 5 BlackBerries. And my working theory is she left the 5 BlackBerries just because she couldn't help herself. It's a system that had worked for 12 years. The syncing system had worked for 12 years with Andrew Weiner. Maybe longer than that, maybe 16 or 17 years, ever since Andrew Weiner's been in Congress. So why would he quit? It hadn't been solved in 16, 17 years. So I think she kept a couple of phones. And if someone didn't figure out the metadata that I described earlier in this piece here, and they did just pick up the phone would have the serial number, it would have the MAC address, which is the communications address, and it would be easy then to see where that phone was at all times over a 12-year period. And I don't believe a central IT group in the State Department gave out those phones, because that way someone would have a record and they would know what IP address and what MAC address and what cellular ID that the phone had. I believe that those phones were originally issued way back when, and then updates came along with Anthony Weiner's group, which was the Awan brothers. So I think those phones are constantly cycled through over the 12-year period, updated along the way. And so Hillary asked for updates and then says she needs to go back to the other phone. That was a way of getting somebody a new phone and to track them. So I think the problem now is the data is peanut buttered all over the place. I still think that the 2 NGA guys came forward earlier with Devin Nunes, way earlier, and that actually cracked the case, because you can actually do it with metadata. You don't need the serial numbers and you don't need the phones. The serial numbers in the phones is more like for evidence, where you present it in court and say, and oh, by the way, Your Honor, here is the phone, and oh, by the way, Your Honor, here is the laptop, and oh, by the way, You know, you're a 20-year expert. Is that the address for that laptop? That kind of thing. So it's good to make the case, but I don't think you need it actually to fire Mr. McCabe. Now, McCabe is good. He's smart, and he has other people do the dirty work for him. So maybe a little difficult. But on the $650,000 thing that he didn't declare, the gift that he didn't declare, that's prima facie evidence. I mean, some people joke it's $1 for every email that he looked the other way, and then $25,000 for his wife's campaign. So the $1 for every email. This is going to be really important to keep focused on getting those emails out, because once Andrew McCabe leaves the FBI, now you're going to get those emails, and that's going to undo all the rat lines, all the DynCorp rat lines go with that. And I know what Feinberg's going to do. Feinberg's going to want to throw out Comey as a sacrificial lamb, and then keep McCabe as the director, and that would be a disaster.